I was struggling to make it into the national team. I cross across him, and after taking like 4-5 steps, I just figured out that, oh man, this is Roger Federer. Pressure is for the privileged. Sindhu is one of them who, under pressure, is able to deliver. Mental fitness is a daily process. Let him be the better player. Let him win those 11 points. But you make sure you make him sweat for those 11 points. You don't need support when the sun is shining and the birds are singing. You need support for the rainy days.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers. This is a very special edition of the FPJ Dialogue. The country is in the middle of IPL fever right now, but joining me today is a very special guest who's absolutely nothing to do with the IPL nor the cricketing world. He's from the world of table tennis, an absolute legend of the game, very recently retired after the UTT contender event in Chennai. He's a 7-time Commonwealth Games gold medalist, a 10-time national champion, Arjuna awardee in 2004, recipient of the Padma Shri in 2019, and recipient also of the Khel Ratna in 2022. Friends and colleagues, joining me is none other than Achanta Sharath Kamal.
Hi.
Sharath, thanks a lot. It's such an honor for all of us to have you here.
Thanks for having
An
me
absolute
over.
privilege because we've never had Olympians, at our office. It's probably the first time. I mean, at least as far as I can remember.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I'll just start off by asking, you just recently retired, and it's been a long journey, right? I think it started off in 2002 when you got the call up for the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
I don't think you were part of the main squad, but
Yes.
you were part of the camp. Starting from there up until now, how do you see the journey? I mean, it's been incredible, right? 23 years roughly.
Yeah. I would actually, when we look at it, everybody talks about from 2002, because 2003 was the first time when I actually played for the Indian team.
Yeah.
2003 February was the first time when I played on an official tournament. But I think there were nearly 5 to 6 years prior to that. Around 1998 was when I decided to go pro in the sport. And I think those 5 to 6 years has defined what I am today. I think the struggle during that period in time for those 4-5 years where I was struggling to make it into the national team, but still being persistent and trying to make it to the national team helped me understand what lows can be, how do I come back from those, how do I learn from those losses, and still yet be doing what I like to do at the best of the times. And also when it's been such a long career, there have been some really great highs in the career, like 2018 especially was a fantastic year with 2 bronze medals at the Asian Games, 3 medals at the Commonwealth Games in 2018. Those Asian Games medals are very, very precious because that was the first time in 60 years in Indian table tennis history that we were able to get those medals. So I've had highs like that, and of course there have been really bad lows through the process also, where there was an injury that I had in my hamstring, which almost threatened not just my career but also my regular day-to-day life.
Right.
So I was on a wheelchair for 4 weeks, and I was on crutches for another 2 more weeks. I had to get it operated, and then slowly getting back to do the sport. And of course, even without those injuries, I think there have been lows where from 30 in the world, I went down to 90 in the world within a span of just 3-4 months. So I think when I look back at it, it's been a mix of emotions that has been through. But the best part is the highs have been really, really very high, and without any regret, I can really happily
So the
say
highs
that.
outweigh the lows, you're saying?
Yes,
Absolutely.
very much. Especially when you stay in for such a long period in time,
Right.
the highs will always outweigh.
Absolutely. Sharath, you mentioned, you nicely summed up your whole career. All the challenges, all the ebbs and flows. Uh, 23 years. There's a lot that an athlete goes through. I think even Sachin Tendulkar was about 24 years, his entire career from '89 to 2013, if I'm not wrong. Uh, what was the finest moment of your career? If there's one moment that you would, if you can, singular moment that
A
you
lot
could-
of people ask me this question,
Yeah.
but it's not a fair question. It's a very unfair.
It's a very
question.
unfair question, but I have to ask you that question. I'm sorry.
because over such a long career,
Yeah.
there have been different instances at that point in time.
Yeah.
That was the best thing. Like for example, 2006 for the Commonwealth Games, where table tennis shot up
Yeah.
to fame, and I was part of the team which won the gold for the first time in the history of Commonwealth table tennis, that India could win a gold. We won it there, and then again going on to win my singles gold. When people didn't expect anything from table tennis, people didn't even know who we were, what the sport can do, and stuff like that. At that point in time, giving table tennis the high that we got was something very, very special.
Okay.
At that point in time, and for me to actually announce my arrival into the international, let's say the world map of table tennis, saying, okay, here is Sharath Kamal in the international table tennis map. I've been doing well, and there is a major potential.
Okay.
So I was around 130 in the world ranking.
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that, and
That was the highest ranking, right?
at that point,
Number
in time,
30. Yeah.
No, 130. I was
130.
130 in 2006 when I won the Commonwealth Games.
Okay. Okay.
And
But your highest ranking?
highest
30.
ranking, yes.
30.
I came down to 30
Right,
in,
right.
in the world, and
Yeah.
that nearly took me 12 years after that, from 130 to 30.
Yeah.
So that at that point in time was quite a big thing.
Okay.
But I think finishing the Commonwealth Games in 2022 with 3 golds and 1 silver, was phenomenal, especially at the age of 40. Getting in there, every session I had to play 3 matches. Every session is the morning session and the evening session. And in the morning session, I would play the singles first, just walk back into the call area, get in for my men's doubles, walk back into the call area, go in for my mixed doubles. I did this 3 matches every session for nearly 4 days.
Okay.
So 3 matches in turn, it means that I'm playing a match for 40 minutes. I need warming up and my prehab and rehab, everything together for another 2 hours. My stretching and cool down post the matches for another 30-40 minutes. So almost like 4 to 5 hours in a day, or close to 6 hours in a day. In one session, I would be playing table tennis and preparing for the matches.
Right.
And that I did per session 5 hours, 2 times every day for almost 3 to 4 days. So doing that at that age was something phenomenal, that we had trained for nearly 8 to 10 months.
Right. Sharath, just going back to your childhood, just the genesis of your journey. I think your father and uncle both were into table tennis. Both were
Yeah.
coaches also. They
Yeah.
played and they were also coaches, a state level and national coaches at the national, state and national
Yeah.
level as well,
Yeah.
if I'm not wrong. See, how much of advantage is that to have, a family, a sound family backing and background when you're getting into professional sport,
Yeah.
or looking to pursue professional sport?
Yeah.
How much of a difference does that make?
Of course, a lot of help comes in from the family. A lot of understanding and sacrifice also comes in from the family. And I was fortunate enough to have that support from my father and uncle, with them being players themselves who turn into coaches. And their goals, their ambitions as coaches was put down onto me. So already when I started playing table tennis in the academy, there used to be state level players, national level players, and as we grew up, there were also Olympians from the academy. So their goal with me was to have international medals.
Okay.
And that was something which they kept talking to me time and again and made me believe that I should be the one who's starting to win those international medals for the country, by which a lot of people will start to believe that this is possible.
Okay.
Again, there's a lot of support at home. At the same time, it also adds as a disadvantage because dad is always with
Okay.
you. He's always talking table tennis.
Right.
So my mom had to intervene a lot of times and saying, no more table tennis at the dining table.
Okay.
You know, you finish table tennis, you come home, you have your shower, then you need to also
But I
focus on your
think,
studies.
but I think that's the thing with sporting families, right? You end up eating, breathing, and sleeping the
Everything.
sport.
Yes.
I mean, whichever sport that is, be it
Yes.
cricket or football or table
Exactly.
tennis in your case.
And also, father being a father,
Yeah.
he'll always try and advise.
Yeah.
And a son being a son, we always try to brush it aside,
Yeah.
saying that, yeah, this is too much, or I'm doing the right thing.
Hmm.
But then there, the roles, I think, were well distributed between my father and uncle. If my father wanted to tell me anything with regards to table tennis, he would tell it through my uncle, because then we would listen. Me and my son would listen. Me and my brother, we would listen to my,
Right,
to my
right.
uncle. We would not question him. My father would say, we would question him.
Okay. And Sharath, just talking about your journey at the Olympics, I mean, playing, I mean, featuring in one Olympics is a huge dream for, any athlete. I mean, you've been a part of 5 editions, I think 2004 beginning in Athens up to Paris 2024. What is the atmosphere like at the Olympics? For all our my fellow colleagues, if you can just tell them what it's like to be at the Olympics, just the whole environment, being around with your fellow countrymen, with other sports people from other countries. I mean, how's it like? How's the whole?
So back in 2004, when I qualified for the Olympic
How
Games,
old were you when you went to Athens?
I was 22.
Okay.
I was 22. So I qualified in the month of April.
Okay.
In the month of April was the Olympic qualifiers, and I qualified in that tournament. And July, August
Yeah.
was the Olympic Games in Athens. So when I qualified, a lot of people, were talking about the Olympic Games. A lot of interviews that were happening, and I really didn't know much.
Okay.
I just went for a tournament which helped me qualify for.
You didn't understand the
Olympic Games.
magnitude of the-
I didn't understand. I didn't know the magnitude.
Okay.
So even going for the Olympic qualifiers, from the second time onwards, there were butterflies in your stomach. There you have those jitters. You're nervous about the tournament. The first time I didn't really know what tournament I'm in. The national team was just taking me for a tournament. I just went in there, played the tournament, qualified, and I end up at Athens. I'm just walking around, 22-year-old. I haven't been much around with the games. So this is my first games. In fact,
Okay.
I haven't been at the Commonwealth Games. I hadn't been at the
Oh,
Asian
okay.
Games.
Straight
So,
to the Olympics.
Straight to the Olympics.
Oh my.
Olympics was my first games.
Must have been pretty overwhelming also. In
Very
a way,
much,
right?
very much.
I mean,
That's-
going
that's-
straight to the
yeah.
Olympics, before the Commonwealth Games, before the Asian Games.
Yes. So I didn't know what it meant to be at the Olympic Games. I understood it as I was walking around and seeing a lot of stuff. And the biggest, let's say, impact that the Olympic Games made at that point in time was me meeting the sports idols that I used to see
Okay.
on a magazine, on a sport magazine or on newspapers.
Right.
So I was just walking into the dining hall at the Athens Olympic Games, and dining halls there, the cafeteria is like rows and rows of hundreds of chairs.
Okay.
Because the village holds around 10,000 people inside. So as I was just entering the dining hall, I come across Roger Federer.
I was about to ask you about him. This is so telepathic now.
He's just having his hair let loose. He had long hair.
Back in the day. Yeah.
Hair let loose and with a tennis bag. So when he had his hair let loose, I couldn't recognize him. I felt like I've seen him somewhere.
Was Agassi there? Agassi there in the same? I think he was about in his last. few
I
years,
don't
think.
remember seeing Agassi there.
Okay.
But this dining thing, it's very very. So I cross across him, and after taking like 4-5 steps, I just figure out that, oh man, this is Roger Federer.
Okay.
So I look for him. So
Say
he's
hi.
no, I didn't have the guts to say hi. I see he's taking his food, so I just go quickly grab something to eat. I take it on my tray and try to find a chair as close as possible to him on the same table,
Okay.
but at the same time not disturbing him. So I didn't want to intrude
Okay,
into his
okay,
space. So I'm sitting and eating. So in my mind, I'm thinking like I'm dining with Roger Federer on the same table.
Okay.
That's the thought that was going in.
Right.
And then suddenly, all of a sudden, from behind Roger Federer, there's a guy who's having short denim shorts and cap back, and they're like clapping hands and saying, "Hey, how are you?" and stuff. And that's Andy Roddick.
Oh, okay.
They were the world number
Yes,
one
yes,
and two
yes,
at
yes.
that point in time.
Yeah.
So it was like, wow, I'm here, one among them.
Yeah, with the biggies. Huh?
Yes. So that is when I understood. Okay, so this is what is the Olympic Games.
But what
it
about
means.
our own Indian athletes, part of the contingent?
Very
Who
much.
was- who was that? I mean,
See, again, there we had Leander Pace was
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Dhanraj Pillai
yeah, Mahesh
from
Bhupati.
Mahesh Bhupati. Dhanraj Pillai. Leander, Dhanraj and Rajawardhan Rathod.
Okay.
The badminton guys. We were always pretty close.
Okay.
We spent a lot of time
Right,
together.
right.
We would always dine together, walk around together. So for me to be along with these kind of players was also like,
Yeah.
I get to learn a lot from them. And from the next edition onwards, I started to understand, okay, just to qualify to the Olympic Games, what it means to the entire world, not just the Indian athletes, but players from Europe, players from the Oriental Asians, players from South America. The Olympic Games is such a huge sporting event. It's a celebration of sport in which we as athletes qualify and be part of it. And that is when I started to understand what it takes to become an Olympian and what it takes to become a medalist at the Olympics also. So it's almost like an 8-year cycle or a 4-year cycle which players are putting into it and making sure they are in their best shape at that point in time to have the best chance
Right.
at the medal.
I mean, you have it all in your career. I mean, you've won Asian Games medals, you won Commonwealth Games, 7 gold. I mean, 7 gold. I mean, incredible. When you look at your career, I mean, I'm sure you would agree with me. If there is one box that you may not have ticked, it's this one.
It's the Olympic medal.
How do you feel about that?
As a young kid, the goal was always to win an Olympic medal, even though I was far, far away. Being 300 in the world, as I was introduced into the world ranking in 2003, I was 300 in the world. But the goal was to win an Olympic medal. In table tennis, the chances of you winning an Olympic medal is if you're in the top 10 in the world. Very, very rarely has somebody won it outside the top 10. You have to be in there to have that kind of first that level to win that medal. So the goal was always to have an Olympic medal, but I was very far away from that shot. Tokyo Olympic Games, I thought probably we have the chance with the mixed doubles, but unfortunately we lost a bit early. And in 2024 in Paris, again with the men's team, we thought we had a decent chance because with the men's team we've always done fairly well.
Yeah.
So we thought we would make it there. So as you rightly said, I have in my cabinet of medals, I have all the medals except for the Olympic medal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't have a regret to that because I've tried everything possible in my might to get this far. So from 300 in the world to 30 in the world, I think that's a fantastic journey.
Right.
And in that process, I've made lakhs, if I wouldn't say millions because so millions don't play table tennis, lakhs and lakhs of players to believe that if Sharath Kamal is able to do this, we all can do it.
Right.
And giving them that hope and belief is at least quite satisfactory for myself.
I mean, Indian table tennis is going through a bit of a renaissance now. I mean, obviously, Manika Batra is breaking through certain barriers. Who do you see? I mean, we all hope that India wins a medal in TT. But who do you see has real potential in today's generation?
Again, Manika is there, Sreeja, Kula is there.
Yeah.
Both of them are pretty close in how they are playing in the ranking wise also. And I still think to win that Olympic medal, we still need some more years.
Okay.
So we've stabilized ourselves at the Commonwealth Games levels.
So where do you think we are lacking? I mean, I'll come straight to the point. Like of course you look at the major nations, the Chinese or the Japanese. Where do you think they are ahead of us?
See, the first thing is the comparison is not on the right tangent.
Okay.
From where we come and from where they come, the kind of tradition that they've had in the sport, the kind of support they've been having in the sport, the kind of infrastructure they have in the sport. Table tennis is a pretty mature sport in these countries where they've had world champions from the 1960s. We've had, India has had one player in the top 30 in the 2016s, 2017s, 2018s.
Okay. So we are way behind.
So the comparison is not
Fair.
it doesn't match.
Okay.
Of course, we are getting better. We are getting better, but at the same time, it will take as much time as we've made so long, so much time further on, because the climb ahead is very steep.
Right. But
So
why do you
it's-
say
it's-
that? Why do you think this climb ahead is steep? What?
Of course, to come from 300 to 200 or 200, it's a possible path. But then after that, you need to have the right structure, you need to have the right support, you need to have the right infrastructure, you need to have the right ecosystem.
Okay.
You need to have people thinking in the same vision, in the same direction.
Right.
And sports now is slowly evolving into a professional circuit which has been present in the Western world, or let's say the Oriental countries, for the last 30-40 years.
Right.
We're just getting there now.
Okay.
So that is why I say another 8-year cycle is when we could see somebody in the top 10 and we feel like, okay, these are the few players whom we can bank on for getting an Olympic medal. But again, for that we need to make sure the pathway is laid out and the structure is clearly there to support the players to get there to the top.
Right. Sharath, last year at the Olympics, you were the flag bearer along with PV Sindhu. I mean, such a huge honor for you at the opening ceremony. What was that moment like? I mean, also just tell me a bit about your camaraderie with Sindhu. I think both of you also speak Telugu, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So just tell
So
me
there's a
bit
lot
about
more history to Sindhu there. Sindhu's father, Mr. Ramana, was a sports officer in railways.
I think her parents also come from a sporting background.
Yeah,
Both the parents, I
yeah.
think, volleyball.
Volleyball. So PV Ramana is into volleyball, and he was the sports officer in Hyderabad in railways.
Okay.
And I was working with the railways.
Okay.
So in 2002, we were playing the inter-railway in Hyderabad, and he got a call from the railway board saying that myself and another player have to report to Delhi for the Asian Games
Okay.
immediately in Delhi to be part of the team. He made sure that happened, and we reached Delhi, but then somehow the table tennis team didn't go.
Okay.
We didn't get clearance and we didn't go, so I had to come back in 2002. So that was my first interaction with him. So and then slowly when I met Sindhu over time, and then especially in 2016, that was when I knew that Ramana sir was her father, and just started to speak with her. So she very cutely calls me Anna.
Sindhu.
Sindhu calls me Anna. In a very cute way. Like, and we know each other for a long time, and it was really nice that we both were the flag bearers. So for me personally, I think it was a great moment. I was very excited for that moment until when they announced it and as things were going on. But when it got closer to the day,
right. I mean,
I was
had butterflies in your stomach.
I was a bit nervous. I don't know how will it be, how will I be leading, because you've got some stalwarts on the contingent. So I'll be leading them from the front. But it was a great evening to remember.
Tell me a bit about, see, I mean, because I asked you about Sindhu, she's a double Olympic medalist. I mean, people struggle all their lives to win, one medal, and sometimes it doesn't happen also. I mean, like, for instance,
Yeah.
in your case, I mean, what are your thoughts about Sindhu? I mean, being a double Olympic medalist, I mean, incredible, right? I mean,
I think the way she understands her mind and body is phenomenal.
okay.
The way she can peak under pressure is just exemplary. This is something. This is a quote which I really liked it when I read it. Pressure is for the privileged,
Yeah.
and I think Sindhu is one of them who under pressure is able to deliver
The goods.
without cracking, and even go beyond her own physical and mental abilities. That's what I can see. Since 2014, every summer she's done exceedingly well.
Okay.
2014 was the first World Championship medal that she got. Then 2015, and 2016 at the Olympic Games. And then 2018 at the Commonwealth Games.
Okay.
And then year after year, she's always been there and delivered when the major tournaments are coming up. So there, I really hats off to her in the way she can do so well when it is the most important. How she can go beyond her own self to deliver that. And of course, there's a lot of training that goes in, but I think the mental fitness, the mental aspect there is phenomenal what she has.
Sharath, just tell me a little bit about, at the elite level, I mean, at the level that you have played or Sindhu has played, I mean, you're just talking about it, the whole aspect of mental strength, the killer instinct that you talk about, in crunch games. I mean, how does that come about? I mean, is there a science behind that, or is it very natural, or how do you develop that? How does it work?
Sports science is very nascent in Indian sport at this very moment. Only over the last 6 years, let's say, 5-6 years, I would really say sports science, the understanding of mental conditioning, mental coach, and stuff is more predominant these days. Prior to that, you either have it or you don't. But what I've seen across sports, across fields, is mental fitness is a daily process. It is the same way how you are able to have your physical fitness, how you are able to work on your body is the same way you need to constantly keep working on your mind. So as a young kid, my uncle always used to say that when the moment you step inside the academy, you need to shut out all your thoughts. You need to be there at that very moment and try to focus on what you're doing. As a young kid, we didn't understand that.
But it's tough also, I mean, at that age, I mean, it's not...
We try to do it, we try to do it. But then I understand now that that's exactly that training back then has helped me get into the zones whenever necessary. So every time when we did well, we got into those zones. How do you get into those zones? It is almost like searching for a light switch in a dark room. If you're trained well, you can walk straight to the light switch and turn it on. But if you're not trained well, you keep searching for it for too many hours.
Right. Sharath, Gopi Chand recently made a statement, it became a bit of a controversy, created a stir. He said, he would not advise Indian parents to put their children into sports, unless they are from rich and, a wealthy backgrounds, or they come from a business family, something of that sort. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
Well, see, again, those words are his, but then when you look at the entire interview, it comes in a different context. When you just cut it there and say, this is what he's saying, of course, the context is not set, the understanding is not there, and then that particular line comes. So, I wouldn't.
But just about that matter, I mean, let's take Gopi aside. Just the fact that it's not easy to pursue sport in this country? You know, I mean, at the highest level, you know very well. I mean, not everybody can. We were just talking about it.
I still feel at the highest level, you have the required support that you have. At least in today's world,
Yeah.
from I've been playing the sport for the last
Correct,
23 years. Until 2015, I never had a sponsor. I always played
2015.
until 2015.
Oh,
2016 was my first sponsorship thing that came up with Lakshya Sports Foundation, Lakshya Foundation.
Okay.
So Pune-based foundation, which came out and helped us. So that was my first time I have support externally. Otherwise, it was all my earnings, my father's earnings initially, and then later on it became my earnings.
Okay.
And then at that very point, got inducted into TOPS, Target Olympic Podium scheme. Then the government also started to support, and at the same time, Sports Development Authority of Tamil Nadu was also, quite active in supporting. So after 2016, it's become once you reach the top, you are taken care of. But in the process of reaching to the top is what makes it very, very tough.
Right.
And that is where you need to spend a lot. And in today's world, again, sport has become a lot more professional. You need to have expert support in every department of such. So in physical fitness, in mental conditioning, in nutrition, in technical practices. So in every place you need to have expertise who is helping you to do well. So which means your costs are going high, and at the same time you need to play a lot more tournaments. You need to have a lot more training sessions. Of course, in that way it is becoming a lot more. Let's say it's burdenizing. There's a lot more burden on the parents or on the kids. So here, at this very point, I would say that once you get to the top, you have the support, but to make it to the top is where we need support. The sporting industry needs support. And in that aspect, I think the governments are doing their bit, and I feel the corporates are the one which can come in that particular space and help support Indian sport grow to the next level. So we need a lot of deep diving into the grassroots level, trying to understand, identify talents, understand their requirements, and make sure those talents are put into a funnel which will get into the high performance center.
Sharath, now you've won. You've received the Arjuna Award in 2004. You've been the recipient of the Padma Shri 2019, then the Khel Ratna obviously 2022. How do you? Where do these awards stand? What do they mean to you in your life, in your career? If you can just talk about each award at that stage of your career. I think Arjuna Award was in 2004.
2004.
Then 2019.
For me, it was a great sense of recognition from the government of India for the contribution that I have done in the field of sport. So every time I was chosen for these awards, I felt like, oh wow, okay, my services has been, it's they have recognized my service, and that in turn gave me the motivation to do more, to do furthermore into the sport. When you look at it from my family, from my parents' side, of course, these are awards which actually is given to them for the sacrifice that they have done. So personally for me, I look at this as that I win tournaments, and that is pretty much, I'm happy with that, because I'm training for that, I'm winning that. But these awards are more in recognition to the people who are behind me, having my back and supporting me through my journey.
What do you feel about Massimo Costantini now? He's the coach. Guiding Indian table tennis. He's a very experienced man. How do you see his role, helping in the development of Indian table tennis?
This is his third stint in India.
Yes.
And he came in the first time in 2008. He was there until 2010 Commonwealth Games. Then he came again in 2016, stayed until 2018 Commonwealth Games. And this time he's come around 2024. We have a great understanding. We know each other for a long time, and I'm pretty sure that he is the right person to help India grow. Basically, he puts in the right structure in place. He builds the system around the players and make sure the player is in the most comfortable space they can be, which will help them perform well in any given tournament. So I think the understanding there that he has in that in the technical aspects is very good, and we just hope we'll have some more great results in the year to come.
And what are your future plans, Sharath? What have you thought about? I think you've just retired now, so I mean, what plans ahead?
So as I was saying, as you were saying, that the Olympic medal is
Okay.
not there in the cabinet.
Yeah.
So my goal will be
To find the next Olympic medal in table tennis.
in table tennis.
Okay.
Exactly. So my vision is to work with table tennis, and hopefully we have that Olympic medal in the next 8 to 12 years
Oh, okay.
in India. So try to build that structure up, have the high performance center up and running, have the best conditions there, and make sure the players are able to day in and day out, have the best of the state of the art technology facilities there, which will help them grow into the Olympic medalist.
So what is the status now? I mean, is it running now or is it under?
We've just signed up with the the government order has just passed
Okay.
with the Tamil Nadu state government, and hopefully in another couple of months we'll
Right.
be starting operations.
Right. Wish you all the best with that.
Thank you.
Sharath, so I'll throw the floor open for questions.
So you mentioned about mental training. Is there a systematic way in which sports persons are trained mentally?
Yeah.
Because I know it for a fact. In shooting, there was one police officer from Bombay, Mr. Bam. He used to impart the skills of Raj Yoga, which help concentration and inner energy and all that. So is there something being done on those lines?
It's a daily process, sir. As I told earlier, it's a daily process, and how we want to keep ourselves physically fit. Let's say you want to have better endurance, you go for 30-minute jog. From the 30 you want 35 minutes, 40 minutes. The same way the mental conditioning also goes. The preparation for the mental conditioning also goes in the same process. So, as an example, in 2021, my match was against the Olympic champion. So his name is Ma Long from China. In 2016, he was the singles gold medalist. China won the team's gold medal also. 2021, I'm in the best shape possible. I'm playing unbelievably well, but unfortunately, I'm drawn against the Olympic champion. So mentally, I'm slightly giving up the night before the match. So I talked to my mental coach, and the mental coach says that because I've played him 5 times before that, I've probably won 1 set against him. I've not even gotten close to give him a tough fight. So I was not in my elements that evening. I felt like I'm playing so well, I'm in good shape, I'm so unlucky with the draw and stuff. At that point in time, she made me understand that fair enough, okay, you've lost to him 5 times, you don't stand a chance tomorrow's match. But does that mean in tomorrow's match you're going to start with a 5-point handicap? No, right? You're going to start 0-0. Then why mentally are you giving him a 5-point handicap? So you start at 0-0. Both of you need 11 points to win the game. Let him be the better player. Let him win those 11 points. But you make sure you make him sweat for those 11 points. So I go into the match. First set, 6-6. At 6-6, my belief gives away, and I can't. Can I really do this? Is it possible? I lose 11-7. Just the smallest thought there, I lose 11-7. Then I come back to the coach, I wipe my face and listen to the tips. And then I say, let's go from here. Make him win those 11 points. Second set, 9-9. I make it 11-9. I don't give it to him. I take those chances. I get to those shots. Risky shots. Of course, I take the risk. It pays off. 11-9 for me. I put him under pressure. Third set, we go in. It's 13-13. We go into the tiebreaker. 13-13. He takes a timeout. He shifts gear. He changes momentum. Next 2 points is quick, very fast, quick points in quick successions. He doesn't give me time. It's just bam. That's it. The match is done. That's his experience. That's his mental training. So that much of mental training goes into our daily practice, and that's how we train ourselves on a daily way.
Hello, sir. Two questions. The first one is I wanted to know, the moment you decided that, you want to retire from the sport. And secondly, one particular thing from your career that means a lot to you, like you want to cherish it again and again.
Actually, I wanted to retire post Tokyo. So then Tokyo moved 1 year later due to COVID. And then after Tokyo was just 1 year to Birmingham. The thought there was, okay, I'm getting older and I'm not able to travel so much, keep my ranking up in terms of being there. And at the same time, I felt like I could help the youngsters. I felt like there was no Indian coach at that time. There was no head coach at that point in time. So I felt like I could start helping the young ones. But then I got to understand at that point in time that I can help these young boys standing as an example and showing them that this is how it is done. So I got a lot of input from various other senior players from Europe, my old friends from Europe, and that is also one of the reasons I didn't quit back then. And the other main reason was 2021 Tokyo Olympic Games. I played this fantastic match against Malong. Then 11 months from there was the Commonwealth Games. I said, okay, I'm playing so well. I prepared for nearly 2 years for the Olympic Games because of COVID. I had nearly 2 years to prepare. So all that preparation will help me just run through the next 11 months. Get into the Commonwealth Games, come back with 3 golds and 1 silver. How can I retire? Asian Games. Then when we get into the Asian Games, at that point in time, then the Olympic Games was coming, but I've never played the Olympic Games in the team championships. So my primary goal after Tokyo was to make sure that the team qualifies, was to ensure that the team qualifies. So I was getting the team together, making sure, putting this thought process into them, because table tennis is an individual sport. Everybody's thinking about, okay, I want to go to the Olympic Games. Nobody's thinking about, okay, we want to go to the Olympic Games. I want to do in my singles, I want to do in my doubles. But as a team, there needs to be somebody who's driving all of us together. So I picked that role up and I said, okay, let's get there. But once Paris was over, 2024 was over, I felt a bit empty inside. I felt like, okay, I've done it all. I've got the team to a good situation. There are a lot of players who are doing well. So it's time for me to focus more on what I was doing the last 4 years as a mentor. I was still playing, I was mentoring kids. Then I felt like, okay, this is the right time for me to do this, because in the next 8 to 12 years, we want to get to the Olympic medal. And that is the reason why I gave up. Like, I retired and I said, this will be my next goal. Now, as far as the best moment is considered, I think that period between 2021, 2022, where I played one of the best table tennis, the Tokyo Olympic Games and Birmingham Commonwealth Games.
In India, almost every sports association has some controversy and politics among them, and almost every association's matter going on in various
In
sports
court,
in India.
yeah.
So how much affect our Indian sports culture?
Very much. It's a tough part for the players because in the end, people fighting all around, anywhere, even at home. If the elders are fighting, the elders can move on, but it's the kids who pay the price. The players pay the price for those controversies that run around. So in table tennis also we had a couple of controversies like that, but fortunately we didn't spend too much time in those controversies, and we made sure that everybody started working in harmony, trying to make sure that the sport is bigger than any individual. So I think that mindset, when we are able to understand that the sport is bigger than all of us, and the athletes are the central focal point of any sport. That mindset is what will change the governance part.
And the second one is our country is a cricket loving country but not a sports loving country. So as a Olympian, क्या कहेंगे बढ़ावा देने के लिए for other sports?
Rightly said that we are not a sports loving country. That's also because our exposure to sport is very, very less. Out of 1.4 billion population, less than 1%, it goes to point some percent of population have played sport in their life, even at a school level. So the access to sport is not there. So people keep complaining that Olympic medals are only single digits, but we are 1.4 population. That's not true. That's not true at all. Very minuscule part of the population play sport, where sport generally has to be a way of life. Not everybody becomes champions, not everybody becomes a Sharath Kamal, not everybody becomes a PV Sindhu, not a Neeraj Chopra. But the fact that people have tried to play a sport for the passion of it helps the country grow in a very healthy way, both physically and mentally. So that is something which I would propagate, saying everybody should try and play sport. Sport has to be a part of our culture, part of our community, part of our life, and that will help all of us grow better.
You spoke about a professionally low time in your career, when you were on a wheelchair for 6 weeks. What was going on in your mind? Because it's very easy for self-doubt to creep in, and you need to have some outlet to not give up. What was yours?
We've had those situations not just during injuries but also during the entire career. As I said, the first 5 years I was struggling very hard to go pro. There were doubts saying, am I doing the right thing? Should I just focus on my academics? Should I just quit now? And when I was injured with this major injury, if I would have probably checked with a psychiatrist, I would have been in a clinical depression. Mentally, you see the rest of the world going ahead, you're sitting there, you don't know, I don't know if I'll be able to run again, let alone play table tennis, run again. And if I'm not able to play table tennis, the very identity that I have as an individual, what am I going to do? So through those situations, through those lows, through those tough parts, there's been one thing that's been constant, which is the family. And it's their support and their belief. Family and the close friends. They always believed, especially the first 5 years when I was struggling. My co-players, they believed, they knew that I will make it, but I had doubts. They believed in me more than themselves. They knew that I will make it, and that kept me moving ahead. That kept me going ahead. And without that kind of a support to fall back on, it's very, very tough. So Roger Federer's own words, he talks about a coach. You don't need support when the sun is shining and the birds are singing. You need support for the rainy days.
So, as you've represented India at the Olympics, and India being known for spiritual tourism these days with Mahakumbh and Chardham Yatra and other things, and you recently been at Haridwar for the Ganga Aarti. So, how was the experience? And do you think Padma Shri Sharath is a spiritual person in some way?
Okay. I do go to temples. We follow rituals at home and stuff. But yeah, to say so, I clearly understand that there's something beyond all of us. You can name it whatever you want, but when my uncle used to say, when I was younger, my uncle used to say that energy or knowledge passes through all of us. So the knowledge of table tennis has been able to pass through me. That's also because I was able to connect to it very well, and I didn't have those cones. I didn't restrict it. I didn't restrict myself, and that is the reason why I was able to get more and more knowledge about the sport, about how to play, and kept going, even at an age where people thought that I should have retired way before. So, like, a lot of people ask me, why are you retiring now? I'm way past retirement age. I should have retired six years ago, which is a normal age. So now, of course, it's time to say goodbye. But again, these are certain beliefs which every individual have, and for me, I like the peace in a temple, in a church. I like to go there, sit, just be by myself. So of course, that's again my individual opinion there.
So, as you come from a Telugu speaking family, but you had been a long while in Chennai, and in this world where there is language politics taking place, what is your comment on how important is it to learn a language, at least of the local premises you are there?
I play sport and I have to go back to Chennai.
Don't ask such questions. He's our guest. Relax.
In this future generation, so who do you think has the potential of becoming next Sharath? Or, are there any young players who are in your mind and, you would like to pass the baton to them?
I have already passed it on. I've just been hanging around for the last 2-3 years, even after passing it off. So most importantly, I think even when I talk to the youngsters, I keep telling them that don't think about becoming me or trying to achieve what I've achieved, but I've just set some benchmarks, and you guys need to go way beyond what I've set. Of course, it's going to be tough, but nothing in life comes easy. And most importantly, you want to be big, you need to make it big. So you need to push yourself beyond your physical and mental capabilities to get to those bigger goals. And today's generation, they don't get intimidated. Very rarely do they have self-doubts. I feel they are overconfident. They're on the other side of the spectrum, which could be good, which the generations we came from is a complete opposite to what they have. There are a lot of young kids who are doing extremely well. This, Manav Tucker, who's just broken into the top 50 now. There's Ankur Bhattacharya, he's 18 years old, he's doing well. There's Cinderella Das, who's 16 years old. India has never had the dearth we've had a lot of people, a lot of talent from the country coming up. It's just that they have to be nurtured and put into the structure so that we are able to have the transition well from the juniors to the seniors.
Hi Sharath. So if you have observed, the Paris Olympics was like, the opening ceremony especially was like a fashion parade where, there were vibrant uniforms that every team had. But the Indian attires were criticized especially. What would you comment on that?
I think Indian media criticizes everything that we do.
Not just the media, there were like opinions that the designer did not put in too much into the
I don't know about designing.
You're talking about the Olympics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I don't know much about the designing part, the fashion thing. For me, at least the boys' dress that we had, we felt like it was nice. It represented what our flag is. We had the national flag colors on the uniform. It was very comfortable. So the most important thing was, it was very hot in Paris, but that night was raining heavily. So through those weathers, and it was an outdoor on the boat event. So through those different weathers, the costume kept us as we had required to.
Hi, I'm Frida. So I wanted to ask you, this might sound a little out of syllabus, but please answer it. There are a lot of movies made on sports stars now. We had a movie called Chandu Champion recently, we had Mary Kom, we had Dhoni. So would you like a movie to be made on you, and which actor you think should play Sharath Kamal?
It's a very interesting question.
I think first, before making the movie, I think I would like to write upon my journey that I've had, because writing gives you the clarity, and also it explains, as a reader, it explains the complete picture. And of course, once that is done, then hopefully a movie comes. But also, for a movie to come, we should, I don't know if the sport is as popular as it is for the film industry to come in and make a movie.
But which actor would you like to play you? If at all it's made.
If at all, if it is made. So,
I mean, is Hindi a Bollywood actor or a Tamil actor?
yeah.
Surya, what about Surya?
Yeah, probably somebody who's tall.
Oh, yeah, correct.
They'll probably have Vicky Kaushal there.
Oh, yeah.
Sir, how do you adapt it to different playing styles of your opponents?
We need to practice a lot. We need to play with different conditions, different players. Of course, it's tough. It is very tough, because the Asians come with, they have the penhole grip. Some of them have the shake hand grip, but they play very quick. They have different equipment. They have different rubbers. They have different styles of play. Then when you come into the European side, they go in for the power play, a lot of backhand oriented game. So there are pockets with different techniques that have developed in the world, and to play with different players, you need to adapt to those different situations very quick into the match. So the most important part is if you're able to have those training stints at different places. So we try and have those. We spend time in Asia, we spend time in China, Japan, Korea, having some training stints there. Then we move into Europe. We play for clubs there. So we practice with them, we play matches with them. So the more exposure you have, the more variety you play with, the more all-round your game becomes.
Okay, so that's it. Thanks a lot, everyone, for being here. Thanks a lot, Sharath, for just coming here, and I mean, it's amazing for all of us to have you here. I mean, having an Olympian and somebody of your stature to just come here and share your thoughts and your knowledge and insight. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.